In the first video, we made sure you had a good profile so that you looked the part when people checked out your profile. And we also made sure you were really clear about who your ideal prospect was, who your ideal client would be. And then in the second video, we did some research and did some digging and found a long list of people that may, in fact, be our ideal contacts and the people that you want to connect with. Well, it's time to actually do the connecting. And so we've got our list of people. We're ready to get going. Now, this is a little bit like getting the first date. You know, looking at this image, this lady doesn't look like she's quite buying what this guy is selling. And, you know, that's the hurdle that we've got to overcome with somebody new that we're meeting from the first time. Now, dating makes for a fun example, but this is what you run into in every type of networking encounter and every type of sales encounter. The person that you're connecting with is wondering, do I want to know this person? Are they going to be a problem? Are they going to be pushy? Are they going to help me solve my problems? Whatever. So we've got to kind of overcome that skeptical look, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Before we get into the details of how to craft that initial connection and how to go about approaching people, I want to make sure you've got a tool for staying organized. And one of the things we found that works really well is a product called Streak, which is available at streak.com. This is kind of your little black book for keeping up with all your prospects and all the people that you may want to know. And Streak is wonderful if you're using Gmail because it installs as a Chrome extension right inside of Gmail. And you can see the categories that we typically use there. We've got everybody starts out in identified, and then if we've reached out to people and requested a connection or sent them an initial email, then they move into that category. If they've accepted or responded, they move into the accepted category. And then if we've started to follow up with them, we move them down one more stage. So this looks like an Excel spreadsheet, and that's really kind of what it is, except that it's integrated with Gmail. So if you're a Gmail user, this is perfect. There are a lot of other CRM tools that you might use. So if you've got a CRM that you're already using, that's great. But the point is you need to have some way to keep up with who's in what category so that you don't lose track and you stay on top of things. Okay, so we got a tool to stay organized. Let's do some connections. How can that happen? Well, there's three ways that you might be able to connect with people. And one of the best ones is through LinkedIn groups. And this is actually another way to identify prospects. And I showed you this toolbar, this search toolbar in LinkedIn before, and we talked about advanced search. But on the left-hand side, there's another drop down, and you can select groups from that drop down and specifically search for groups that might contain your ideal prospects. So if you know that your prospects are engaged in real estate or medicine or accounting, CPA, CFO type activities, you can search on all those keywords, and it never ceases to amaze me how many relevant groups you can find for almost any population. Once you do that, go join the group. Read the rules. Some groups have very specific requirements, but join the group and start participating. At that point, it's like a forum, and you've got an opportunity to meet with people, engage back and forth. Just try to be helpful. One of the rules we talked about earlier on LinkedIn is no pitching. Do not go in a group, join a group, and immediately start sending out, oh, look at me, look at what I've got to sell you. That'll just annoy people no end, if not get you thrown out of the group. Instead, just be helpful. Offer information, offer help, offer advice. And if you see somebody that looks like an ideal prospect that wasn't on your list that you identified previously, well, add them to the list. Now, so groups is one way. That's kind of like a big cocktail party or a big networking group. The next thing you can do is a direct connection request. Now, there are two schools of thought on this, and we're still testing both of them. So to tell you the truth, we haven't decided what works best. Some people would say lead with a connection request. Others would say no, lead with a direct connection and then loop back and do the connection request where there's a fit. I can see it both ways. We've had success with it both ways. So I want you to know that there's two options. But one thing that please don't do. This is what the default connection request looks like on LinkedIn. That's a really bad idea. If you don't change the copy, if you don't change the text, this is what goes out. And please don't do that. Instead, what I'd like you to do is personalize your connection request. Use the contact's first name, so that way they know you're not just clicking through and spamming everybody you can find. And so you use their first name. Say something like, Clark, let's be connected on LinkedIn because we're both interested in finding better prospects. That's one of our other tricks that we like to use is include a because. Why would you like to be connected to somebody? Because we're both involved in the XYZ industry. So let it breathe, be relaxed, be personal. There is a character limit, and LinkedIn changes these from time to time, but it's somewhere in the 300 to 700 character range. So you can't get too verbose. You can't include links. Just keep it simple, keep it direct, keep it personal. Now, the other way to connect with people, so LinkedIn is great for finding people, but you don't have to connect with them through LinkedIn. It's just as valid to connect with them directly through email or through InMail. And InMail is LinkedIn's direct connection tool, and I'll show you that now. So what happens with InMail, you do have to have a paid account to get some InMail credits. And this is right now, it's still early 2015. The first part of the year, LinkedIn started changing the way that they do things on InMail. So, and they made those changes to try to make sure that people send less spam and the messages are more relevant. So what they're doing now is if you send an InMail and you get a response, the response might be, no, I'm not interested, but you get a response back to it. So the person you send it to reacts to your message, then you'll get your InMail credit back. Otherwise, you don't. So you do have to buy InMail credits, and you can do that by buying a premium account. You'll get a certain number that start adding up there. And from there, it just looks more or less like an email message. You can share your phone number. You should select the category, and it's a good opportunity to look at that person's profile. I told you to personalize it. You can see in the profile what types of things they're interested in. And if you include a comment about something that prospect is interested in, they're that much more likely to respond. So make sure you've got a good, clean subject that's straight, clear, honest. Choose the category and keep your message on the short side. Short and direct works best. So here's an example of a message that we might use. It just says, Brian, would you like to use LinkedIn to find prospects? If so, could we have a short email exchange? That's very low risk. It's very, hey, do you mind if we email back and forth a little bit to see if we should even talk or be connected on LinkedIn? So short, direct, personal, honest. This is not the place for long form sales letters. Keep it short, keep it easy. And it's a good concluding line here that says, please let me know what you decide. It serves the purpose of a call to action. So if Brian is at all interested in knowing more about LinkedIn, then he'll respond. If he looks at my profile, he'll see I know something about LinkedIn, and he might well respond to that. If not, well, he's not interested, so it's okay. Even people that look ideal on paper, might not be ready for us right now. So But when Brian does respond, see what he says and just be helpful and be real with it. Now, InMail is one way to send these messages, but I showed you Sidekick before, and sometimes it's possible to guess or discover people's email addresses, and you can use the same message as a cold email. Send a direct message to Brian or whoever your ideal prospect is, and ask the question. And people, if what you're doing is targeted, and if you've done all the research and done all the digging and you've made it personal, then Brian's likely to say, well, Clark, I would be interested. Let's, what can you do to help? And we can go back and forth a little bit. Otherwise, if he says, no, it's not a good time, or, I'm on vacation, or whatever might come up, that's all fine too. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you feel better about using LinkedIn to find buyers. I'd love to hear from you, to know more what you think. Scroll below and leave a comment. That'd be wonderful. Or you can contact me directly at cbishop@inboundteam.com. All the best.